Good morning. Today is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021. This is the Arlington County, Virginia Board of Equalization hearings. There are 6 cases on the agenda today. The first case is RPC 170120033. The property is located at 1532 North Scott Street, the townhouse number 9. And Mr. Patel is on the line. He's the owner and is going to talk to us about his case. You can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about your case, sir.
Okay, thank you, Miss Mary. So first of all, good morning to everyone, and thanks for listening to my case. So my wife and I own a condominium at the Odyssey complex in Courthouse of Northern Arlington, Virginia, and it's located on 1532 North Scott Street near the Clarendon and North Scott Street intersection. We've had this property since 2006, since it was built, and the Odyssey complex was built at that time. We have a 2.5 bathroom, 2-bedroom property. Again, classified as a condo. The square footage is around 1128. Hopefully you have that information already. I was looking at the market value for comparable properties that are also classified as condos in that 22209 zip code that we're in Northern Arlington, Virginia. And I found 5 units that sold in the last 12 months that were of similar square footage, different years of build on all 5 of these. And I submitted those. And I had basically properties that sold from $500,000 to around $620,000 during my search for the last 12 months, again, in that 22209 area mostly. And I think we submitted the appraisal we recommended the appraisal to be adjusted to $600,000. It was $610,000 last year. And the Department of Real Estate Assessments came back and told us that there are some other properties in that same area that need to be looked at for an accurate appraisal value. And so three properties were given by the Department of Real Estate Assessments during this appeal process. And those are 1458 North Quinn Street, 1500 North Scott Street, which is right in the same development. It's an Odyssey condominium as well. And then 2538 Fairfax Drive. So I was going to briefly go through each 3 of these that were submitted by the Department of Real Estate Assessments. The first one, which is the 1458 North Quinn Street, does have a finished basement. As I mentioned, ours is 1,128 square feet with no basement at all. The Quinn Street property is 1728 square footage. So it's at least 150% larger than ours. This unit also has a gourmet kitchen, some quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, hardwood flooring, upstairs and downstairs, 2 master suites, an upgraded marble shower, and even a backyard with a nice flagstone patio. Our unit has none of these upgrades or features. It has all the original stuff from 2006. So I'm not sure if that's an apples to apples comparison as far as the 1458 North Quinn Street. The second one I'll jump to is the one submitted by the Department of Real Estate Assessments at 2538 Fairfax Drive. This is number 3B, condo number 3B. This one is located in a nearby zip code. It's 22201, which is right next to 22209. This unit also has some nice upgrades or features like plantation shutters, updated bathroom, fireplace, even a balcony off the master bedroom. Again, our unit has the basic appliances and features from 2006, the original. So I'm not sure if this is a fair comparison, even though the square footage on this one is comparable to ours. I think the one that's probably most comparable is the one right down the street on North Scott Street. It's called 1500 North Scott Street. It's unit number 1. This is about 8 units down from ours. This is also part of the Odyssey complex in Northern Arlington, Virginia. It did sell in the last year for $713,000, but I do want to mention to everyone that it is a 3-bedroom, not a 2-bedroom. And their square footage, this 1500 North Scott Street, unit number 1, right down the street again on our street, is 1435 square footage. Ours again is 1128. So if this is what we're going to use to compare and obtain a fair market value with an accurate appraisal for 2021, the square footage that I'm calculating is $497 per square foot for this 1435 square foot unit number 1, 1500 North Scott Street. Again, just 8 units down from ours. And so if you use that $497 per square foot at our 1128 square foot, I come up with a value of $560,000, which I think is not accurate. I think our property is probably more like the $600,000, which is what we suggested that the appraisal be adjusted to. So I'm happy to answer any questions if at any time during this presentation, but I did want to mention these important properties and some of the differences between ours and theirs. So again, we're recommending that the appraisal be adjusted for 1532 North Scott Street, which is again 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 1128 square foot, appraised at, the appraisal should be adjusted at $600,000, and it's currently at $610,000 for 2020.
Okay, thank you, sir. We have Mr. Carvajal on. Yes, I see him. Yes, for the county. You can start with your 8 minutes, sir.
Sure. Good morning. The subject is a townhome unit at the Odyssey. We've completed multiple departmental reviews of this property over the past couple of years, and no change occurred to the property record this year as well. The subject saw a 5.5% increase to their improvement base rate, which translated to a total increase in assessed value of 4.4%. I'd like to point out this was the first increase this unit has seen since 2017. With the increase in assessment value, the total assessed value is still lower than the last sale of a comparable townhome unit that sold at the Odyssey, which occurred in 2015. Townhome unit number 10 sold for $640,000 and is shown as comp 1 just for reference. Since sales are limited of townhome units at the Odyssey, we use other townhomes in the courthouse area to help us decide whether the subject's current assessed value is accurate or not. Comp 2 is another condo-owned townhouse, but located at the Barton Place condo community. It is a townhome-style condo built in 1984. Under the amenities section of the MLS listing for this unit, it features only management and snow removal, and in my opinion, is inferior to the subject, which shares the amenities found at the Odyssey high-rise. Comp 3 is a non-condo residential townhome located just 2 blocks away from the subject. Comp 4 is a new condo townhouse at the Odyssey that just sold. This is all the information we have to submit. With the information submitted in the packet and the department requests that the board please confirm the 2021 assessment value of $637,900. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, I just have one quick question for the county. On the grid on page, I guess it's 4, where you've got the Odyssey, the 1500, the townhouse that sold for $713. What's the final assessment?
Sure. The current assessment, comp 4, correct?
Right, because it says 218.8, and I don't think that's correct.
Right. That is the assessed value for as of January 2021. The Odyssey had 21 units that were community benefit units that they took out of that program and remodeled them and listed them for sale this year as residential units. So when they've sold, they have the correct market value, but the assessment that is shown is still that original January 2021 value when they were CBU units, which have a discounted rate.
I'm sorry, they have a discounted rate to 218,000?
The CBU units. I mean, it depends on the size of the unit, but the community benefit units are usually lower than market value. Yes.
All right. It's the first I've heard of this, but all right. Other questions?
Can I also add something, Mary? This is Deidre, the condo supervisor.
Yes,
the community benefit units are also, they're only available based on, to county residents based on the median income levels. So this is a restricted covenant. These units are under the restricted covenant program, and they can only be sold based on the original sales price. So their sales price is capped unless they sell outside of the program. So when these units were originally sold, they were based on income restricted sales prices, and that's why they're capped at that sales price. I'm sorry if I hadn't explained that correctly, but explained that well enough for you guys. But the sales price is capped while they're under that unit, while they're under that program, until they sell out of the program, and then they're sold at market rate. So the sales price that Mr. Carvajal provided for you is the market sales value for that unit, and it will reflect that value in 2022.
It will reflect the 713 in 2022.
That's correct. It will reflect the market value for going forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Other questions from board members? Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, also for the county on comp 4, under parking / storage spaces, it's 2, and then parking value is 25. And I'm guessing there are no storage units because it's a townhouse. Is that right?
I would have to double check. Let me see if I can get that information for you.
And the reason I'm asking is if it's 2 parking spaces, it would seem to me it ought to be 40 grand, not 25.
Yeah, if you have 30 seconds, I can look that up for you.
Well, I'm guessing that's probably a moot point at this point anyway, since the assessment's limited to the 218.8. It would just lower the rest of the building portion. So
Isn't the value of 218, isn't that what it was? But when it went out of the program, from now on, it'll go up to the 713. Is that correct?
that's what she just clarified as
Yeah.
of this year.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. There are other townhome new townhomes at the Odyssey that sold. So we'll see where that 713 lies compared to the other townhomes that sold that are the similar square footage and similar interior. This one in particular, just talking about the parking, it has 1 parking space assigned to it, but it also has a storage unit attached to it. So that might be the 5,000.
Okay, that's it seemed like maybe they ought to be broken out because the parking space is worth a lot more than a storage space. Okay, thank you.
Just explained that. Thank you. All right. Other questions, Mr. Metzger?
I have a question for the department on comparable 3. I understood the appellant to say that it was much larger than his, but it has here on the I&E sheet, the comparable sheet, 1152 square feet, which is almost the same. Is that correct? 1152 square feet for comparable 3 on Quinn Street?
Double checking right now. 1152 above grade, and then it has 567 below grade, but the assessment or the property information they have on that property does not show a finished basement.
I missed that last part. It does not show that as a finished basement, but you just said it does. So how do you know?
The area is there, the square footage, so the concrete floor, the concrete walls, the area is there, but I don't show it being as finished area.
Oh, but unfinished area has value as well?
It has some value, yes, because there is a rebuild cost to it, yes.
Right, but it would not be included in that square footage that you're seeing there, Ken. That's a standard appraisal practice. Below grade is not included in the livable above grade.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, Mr. Carvajal, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Sure, the department has nothing else to add. The only thing I asked you guys to take into consideration is that like I said, this is the first increase that the subject has seen since 2017, which brings up the total assessed value to $637,000, which is again a little lower than the last time we saw one of these units sell, which was in 2015, where it sold for $640,000. Because of the age of the building and the condition of these units, there isn't much updates to townhome units, so they're all kind of the same on the inside. And I just ask that you guys take that information into consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Patel, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Sure. No, thank you again for giving me a few minutes to present our unit at the Odyssey. I believe the Quinn Street condo does have a finished basement, even though the county records don't reflect that. But in any case, I think if we're trying to compare apples to apples to get an accurate appraisal based on sales over the last 1 year, rather than looking back at 2015, 6 years ago, perhaps looking at the unit that's a few doors down from us at 1500 North Scott Street, townhome unit number 1, which is priced at $713,000 when sold in February, may be a good starting point. Again, the square footage of that unit a few doors down from us is 1435, and ours, again, by the same builder, is 1128. I recommend that the board consider readjusting the appraisal to $600,000 as a result.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, it's just among the board members. I don't know, I think the appellant, just in closing, made the argument for the county. I mean, when I look at Comp 3, the Quinn Street, I think the county should confirm whether, you know, and I'm sure they could through the MLS pictures and whatnot, that the basement is finished. But again, it would have a different factor in there. It would not factor in exactly how it would above grade. But regardless of that, if it's got the 500 square feet and the other, you know, the gourmet kitchen and whatnot, it's also assessed $240,000 higher than our subject property. So I don't feel that it's out of equalization there. And if you look at Comp 4, what the appellant is saying, to take a look at that, with now understanding why the assessment states where it is, but if the sales price was $713,000, then to me, to see the assessment of $637,900, it doesn't seem out of balance to me. I don't know. I'm interested in what other folks have to say. Mr. Matzkin?
I would add on that because there's this is a tough case, didn't have a lot of comparables at all, and the county had to do what it had to do. But it's up to us now, and I find comps 1 and 4 to just not be relevant. You got to do something, and I'm sympathetic, but they're so far, especially Comp 1, out of the assessment period that I don't want to lend too much credence to it. So Comps 2 and 3, Barton Place is not, in general, is not a comparable project to Odyssey. It's older, it's denser. If it snows, you got a big problem parking. The parking's congested. The inside of this particular unit might be upgraded, might not be, but overall, it's not the same quality. And Comp 3 shows that, you know, there's real value in the immediate neighborhood. With all the shortcomings, I don't see personally how we can ignore the county's or overturn the county's assessment.
Okay, other folks? Mr. Penaranda?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is something that we don't see much of, you know, townhouse condos that are of similar quality and I guess the space. And I don't really find that the Mr. Patel's comparables really apply, because those are just one-level condos in the vicinity. And as a matter of fact, I went out and also looked at what else has sold of similar size units. And within the past, year and a half, almost 2, I found units that have sold between 625 and 765. You know, not necessarily at the Odyssey, but in the vicinity. And considering that this unit, didn't have an increase in assessment for the past, 4 or 5 years, I don't see that this is unreasonable. And I think the question is this unit worth the assessment value? And I think, yeah, I mean, definitely sell for more than that. So I don't see how we can make any adjustments or make any reductions in this case.
Okay, anybody contrary to that?
No.
No? All right, well then I will move to confirm the county at 637,900.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's motion and second by Mr. Penaranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. The county is confirmed at 637,900. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, the second case on the agenda is RPC 18003-148, and the property is listed at 1276 North Wayne Street. Yesterday morning at 11:23, Rosa received an email from Trisha Barton, and it says, "Good morning. If it's not too late, I'd like to drop the appeal to my real estate assessment of my condo. I heard from another person who made the same appeal, and the impression is that no matter what argument I have, what proof I present, it doesn't matter, that the board will reject the appeal." Excuse me. "I am way too busy at work right now, and if the appeal would be denied no matter what I do, then I would rather spend my time doing something more productive like my work. Please let the board know that I appreciate their consideration, but that I would like to withdraw the appeal. Please let me know if I need a formal letter or what we need to do." So we accepted that. And so that being said, I disagree that, it wouldn't be a fair representation from both sides, but, regardless, we've got a request to withdraw it. So I assume that there's no objection from the county of the withdrawal. Mr. Carvajal?
No objection.
Okay. All right, then just to make it timelier, I will move to accept the withdrawal from the appellant. Do I have a second? Mr. Metzgen? All in favor of accepting it? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The withdrawal is accepted. Thank you, Mr. Carvajal. Okay. Next up, we have RPC 15012-043. The property is located at 3153 21st Street North. And I believe I saw Mr. Weist.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, he's there, and we have Ms. Churchill for the county. So Mr. Weist, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property, sir.
Sure, good morning. Thank you for your time. So my wife and I live at 3153 21st Street North, and it's a 5-bed, 4.5-bath, single-family home purchased for $1.56 million in June of last year. So the following 3 points were not addressed in the response from the Board of Real Estate Assessments. 1, the assessment is not commensurate with that of comparable properties in the neighborhood. 2, the assessment is not commensurate with that of the market value of the home. And 3, the improvement portion of the assessment was increased by nearly 17%, despite there being no corresponding improvements made to the house during that time. So I'll address the first 2 points simultaneously. As I mentioned, we purchased the home in June 2020, and we were taken aback when we saw that our first tax assessment was roughly $120,000 more than we paid just a few months prior. I'd like to draw attention to the board's memo, page 2, the appellant comparables. I think those are actually not the best comps. I also included 3 of the comps listed in the appraiser comps section. So page 4 of that memo, let's look at comps 1, 2, and 3. All 3 of these houses sold within a few months of each other for very similar amounts. Despite the sale price being similar or higher to that of mine, comps 1 through 3 are all assessed significantly lower. And it seems wrong for mine to be appraised so much higher when the market dictates otherwise based on sale price. My house was originally listed actually for very close to the current appraisal. It sat for well over a month at that price and had no offers, no movement whatsoever. This seems like clear evidence to me that that's not the true value. Comp 1, the 1805 North Hartford Street, I think that's the best comp in this case. This house, it's a much nicer house than mine. It sold for $146,000 more, yet my house is still somehow appraised roughly $40,000 more than this house. Now, admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about the process for determining effective age and other metrics you use. That said, I think comps 1 and 2 in particularly, they are significantly nicer houses. I know this because I saw them when we were in the market to buy last year. And I think the fact that they're nicer is reflected in their market price and what they sold for. All of comps 1 through 3 have assessments that are quite a bit lower, $20,000 to $50,000 lower than their 2020 sales prices. My house seems to be the exception to this rule for whatever reason. And I guess I'm having trouble understanding why my assessment is so much higher than the sale price and so much higher than the assessment of other comps. Last point, the improvement value. On page 8 of the board's memo, there is a table with property tax history over the last 10 years or so. And you can see that in 2020, from 2020 to 2021, the improvement assessment has increased from $547,000 to $638,000. This is a $91,000 increase in a year where no improvements were made to the home. And I don't understand the justification for this when it seems that the only inspection was done virtually. It seems very difficult to make a true assessment in this case. Our proposal was that the assessment be adjusted to $1,600,000. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, sir. I believe I saw Ms. Churchill.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry, I had just shut my video off while he was speaking.
Okay, you can start with your 8 minutes.
Okay. So good morning. This property was virtually inspected on March 8th of 2021. The property is a 2 3/4 story brick veneer and vinyl siding home with a finished basement, 5 bedrooms, 1 half bath, and 4 full baths. The year built was 1939, but the effective age is 1995 with a quality of very good plus. The appellant feels the assessment value of his property is unfair due to the sales that occurred during the analysis period. The appellant submitted comparables 1837 North Hartford Street, which is RPC 15035-008. This property is a 2-story brick veneer home. It has 3 bedrooms, 1 half bath, 3 full baths, and a finished basement with a year built of 1939 and effective age 1959. The property sold for $1,350,000 on 7/20 of 20. The current assessment value was $1,352,900. This property has a lesser effective age and lesser finished square footage as compared to the subject. The other comparable was 3135 17th Street North, RPC 1545001. This property is a 1.5 story wood siding home. It has 4 bedrooms, 4 full baths, and a finished basement. Year built 1953, effective age 1990. This property sold for $1,595,000 on December 7th of 2020. The current assessment value is $1,539,900. This property has lesser quality, less finished square footage, and 1 less full bath as compared to the subject. The property's grade and effective age appear in line with the neighborhood and current condition. The appellant submitted comparables that confirm his quality, effective age, and value. The property was inspected, but changes were made to the basement finished square footage. So the basement square footage was changed from 1,000 to 903. The improvement value then changed from 641,200 to 638,700. The total value changed from 1,671,200 to 1,668,700. Comparables provided from our department. The first one was 1805 North Harvard Street. This property is a 2 3/4 brick veneer and cement fiber siding home. It has 5 bedrooms, 1 half bath, 4 full baths, and a finished basement. Year built is 1937, effective age is 2000. This property sold for $1,706,000 on 8/14/20. The current assessment value is $1,642,300. This property does have a higher effective age, greater finished square footage, and 1 additional full bath. The second comparable is 3171 17th Street North. This property is a 1 3/4 stone veneer, brick and cement fiber siding home. It has 4 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 3 full baths, an unfinished basement. The year built was 1932, effective age 2010. The property sold for $1,615,000 on 4/14 of 20. The current assessment value is $1,583,700. This property has a higher effective age, higher quality, less finished square footage, and an unfinished basement. And the third comparable is 1813 North Herndon Street. This property is a 2.5-story brick veneer home. It has 5 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 4 full baths, and a finished basement with a year built of 1940, an effective age of 1980. This property sold for $1,550,000 on 9/18/20. The current assessment value is $1,531,700. This property has a lesser effective age, less finished square footage, and 1 additional full bathroom as compared to the subject. As a result of the review, the virtual inspection, and information submitted, we corrected the basement square footage and changes were made to the property. The agent in the listing, in the remarks in the listing, state the total sale price was $1,685,000, but we asked that the board confirm the revised 2021 value of $1,668,700. Thank you.
If I could just address the total sale price real quick.
Okay, you actually will have a chance in your wrap-up, sir.
Of course.
Okay, now questions from board members? Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, for the county, behind this lot, it looks like there's open space or something. Is that correct? You can see
Yes,
this.
that's correct. It's
Yeah.
county park.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You
It's
can go
county
ahead, because
park.
I mean, you live there, so you can probably explain it a little bit better even.
For the county,
Yes.
did you consider the fact that it abuts parkland or that it has a larger lot? Did that impact your assessment at all?
So I'm just pulling up the worksheet. If you give me 1 second.
Yeah, the lot's 7,800 square feet. I think it's zoned R6, but I would have to double check that.
So it is 7,800 square feet and it is
R6.
zoned R6, yes.
So I was just wondering, is the extra size and the fact that it abuts a parkland, did that up your assessment at all? Did that have any impact on the assessed value?
There is a 3% adjustment increase for size.
And so it did. It went up by
Yes.
3%. Okay, because I think the comps do not have that factor.
Right. I'd have to
Okay,
pull
and
each
then-
one, but I believe you're correct.
Okay, and for the property owner, did you get any seller credits?
I did not. The total sale price that was mentioned had to do with a previous potential buyer who backed out at the last minute. And I don't know all the details, but my understanding is that the seller pursued him legally and basically made up the difference between the requested price and what we were willing to pay.
Okay,
It's a
interesting.
little strange situation.
So we could probably look that up in the court records.
Okay, other questions from board members? No? Okay, Ms. Churchill, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Okay. Again, as a result of the review, the virtual inspection, and information submitted, we did correct the basement square footage and changes were made to the property. We ask that the board confirm the revised 2021 value of $1,668,700. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wiest, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
I think I'd just like to reiterate, that I think the market sales price is the most logical metric to consider here, and I just find it hard to justify such a large increase over a 6-month period when the market price of comparable homes sort of dictates otherwise. I think that's all I have. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, now it's just among the board members. What's everybody think on this? Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This lot in and of itself, I think has extra value beyond the comps. The fact that this was involved in a litigation, you just have no idea what motivated the seller. Were they trying to demonstrate damages and they lowered the price? It's just, I wish we knew more about what happened with the previous sale and what the allegations were and so forth. I guess I would be inclined, I saw the county lowered it a little bit, and I might be inclined to lower it a little bit more, but I'd like to see what my colleagues think before I propose anything.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking kind of the same line of reasoning. Initially, the sales price struck me as a pretty good comp, and but now I don't really know how that number was agreed to, given that somebody else is under contract for more. And it's not, there's issues around it. So, but despite that, 9.4% is still a pretty big increase year over year for a fairly expensive home. You don't usually see the price of your homes run up that high in 1 year. Almost 10% increase in assessment. So I feel like it's a little high. I don't have a logical path to a reduced number that I've been able to come up with, other than looking at.
Okay, Mr. Matzkin.
I take a little different tack. I think that both the departments and the appellants comparables, adjusting for effective age and size and all the normal stuff that we see every single case, are very strong indications that the assessment is appropriate. And I'll just add on what everybody's already mentioned, that it appears that the appellant got a good deal based on somebody else's proposed buyer's error. How it went up so much year over year, and I agree with Greg, that seems to be a high number, but it could have the answer easily could be that it was underassessed. And I'm basing that again on the comparables that I see. So I support the department's position.
Okay, other folks? Mr. Penaranda?
Yeah, this is like Mr. Lawson said, this is a little bit tough because, so many times we look at the numbers that the county always looks at, what's the sales price that has been recorded. And so many times owners and the county says, we don't consider concessions, we don't consider any other numbers except the numbers that are shown on the settlement statement, on the recorded documents. And in this case, there's a recorded number for a sales price. We don't go into finding out, what the motivation was from the seller, from the buyer, and as a matter of fact, I tried to reach to the listing agent on this property to find out why, he listed in the remarks that the total sales price should be higher. I didn't get any response. So, I'm still not sure why the litigation happened, or, what other circumstances were. But we do have a recorded sales price, and I think that's a very strong number. I don't think we can ignore it just because, there was a possibility of something else happening. And that's the case that we always look at. There's numbers that's what's recorded, that's what's showing, and that's normally what the county tells us, that's what it's recorded. Even if the seller gave, concessions of, a higher number, they don't consider that. So it's one of those things that, I think we should follow. Okay. I know it's a big reduction, but, I'm strong in this case that the sales price shows what the assessment should be for this year. It was a sale done within the period, and I think it's a valid sale.
Okay, Mr. Yates?
Well, Jose, I originally, I agree with you, what you're saying to the point, but the seller, and you're right, we don't know what he got as an additional price, but there is a number that's higher than what's on this sale. Your argument that the county routinely looks at, here's what the price is, and despite the rest of it, that's a good argument. And I think what the county needs to do for the next one is when they come up with, if it comes up again, or when they adjust it, they need to look at the price on the comps differently, and it may come in line or it may be low, but and find out what this sale price really was, because the buyer got a good price, the seller got more money, and we don't know what that was. But do we adjust it because that is the price he got? So it really, well, it's arm's length. There was another factor involved. It's a tough one.
Right. No, I kind of have bounced back and forth on this. I agree. I think, as several of you have said, I think he got a good deal on it, and it may be as a result of the deal prior to. I don't know. And I mean, we've seen other properties where there's been a sales price and we've not considered it because it wasn't a fair market value. I don't know. I look at the comps. I now am tending to lean that I'm okay with the adjusted assessment from the county. And we'll see what the other sales do for it next year. But I think the owner got a good price on the property. So I don't know, Mary, Ms. Hubbard.
Yeah, same thing. It's tough. I originally thought it was maybe a little bit of a too high, but yeah, I just don't know where any adjustments can be made. I'm not, again, the situation surrounding the sale, just, I think I'm probably leaning towards going with the county.
Mm-hmm. All right. Does somebody want to make a motion? Mr. Metzgen.
I move that we accept the county's revised assessment of $1,668,700.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second by Ms. Hogan. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Okay, so it's 4-3, and that's without Mr. Penaranda, Mr. Lawson, and Mr. Hoffman. The county's revised assessment of $1,668,700 is confirmed. Thank you, Mr. Weist.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Cockerham, I think you were on earlier.
Hi, yes, let me try to get my...
And is it Cockerham or Cockerham?
It's Cockerham.
Cockerham, okay.
Can you hear me okay? I think my
we can
computer does
hear you.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. All right, the next case on the agenda is RPC 16014-218. The property is located at 1505 North Colonial Terrace, and Ms. Cockerham is on the line. You can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property.
Thank you. I'm the owner of the townhouse at 1505B North Colonial Terrace, which I purchased in 2019 for $1,050,000. The property has 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. My appeal is based on the fact that the property, in my view, is not assessed equitably with similar properties. My assessment increased by nearly $85,000 between 2020 and 2021, which is way out of line with the other properties. I respectfully submit that the most similar properties are the properties that are located in the same townhouse community, the Highgate community, and more specifically, there are 24 townhouses called the Kent units, which are organized in 4 rows with 6 townhouses facing each other. So 12 townhouses facing each other, and we share a common walkway with each other. And these townhouses are less desirable than the other units in the Highgate because the other houses face the road and do not have this common walkway, and they do not face another townhouse within 20, 25 feet. So I think the most useful comps are the 24 Kent homes. The average assessment of these 24 homes in 2021 is approximately $1,008,000. It appears that the land increased for everyone about the same amount, but the building is what increased so substantially for my home. There were no renovations during my after I purchased the home, and the home has sustained some water damage to the ceiling shortly after the sale due to some defects that were not caught originally and are now from the master bathroom, but noted in the appeal. But in any event, I just don't think that my unit should be assessed higher than the average of the 24, because of the 24, there are various homes that have either higher square footage, they have more bathrooms. My unit is not the end unit, and which is obviously a favorable feature. And I pointed out in my appeal that my neighbor, which is the end unit, is 1505A. It's a bigger unit. It has an extra half bath, slightly bigger lot, and it is assessed at $1,007,000, which is $37,000 less than mine. I raised a few other comparables. I know the appraiser dismissed these as not having been sold, in the 2019 period, but I do still think they're comparable. But there is one Kent home that was raised by both my appeal and the real estate assessor, and that was 1507D, North Colonial Terrace. That unit actually sold for $10,000 more than my unit, yet it is assessed at $1,200,000. So I think that assessment supports my position that my property should be assessed comparably at $1 million, or as I noted, no higher than the average of the Kent units. The appraiser, I think, pointed out that my unit has a newer effective age. I, of course, have not seen the other unit, but I would submit that the fact that it sold for $10,000 more suggests and actually confirms that the units are actually are comparable and should be assessed the same or comparably. The assessor used 3 other properties were identified in the March 18th letter as comparable. Those are all the other style of townhouses. They're not the Kent units. They face the road, and they don't have a unit facing directly to them, 25 feet away. But in any event, I did the math, and I looked at the square feet of finished area. All those have more finished area. But even if you think they're comparable, I think those 3 comps actually support my position, because if you do the math, the home at 1552 North Colonial Terrace, it has 2,224 square feet, and therefore, it has a price per square foot of $515. My townhouse has a price per square foot of $630. Again, if you use the next comp, which is 1521 North Colonial Court, it has has approximately 400 square feet of more finished area, and then has a price per square foot of $563, which is again a lot more than mine of $630. And then finally, the 1503 North Colonial Terrace has a lot more square footage and almost 3,000 square feet, and therefore has a price per square foot of $437. So if you even use the price per square foot of those 3 homes, the assessed value would actually come in between $723,000 and $930,000. So in conclusion, I just request that the board adjust the assessment to $1 million, which is supported by the most recent similar comp, or alternatively, no higher than the average of the 24 Kent units, which is $1,008,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Churchill for the county, please.
Yes. Thank you. This property was virtually inspected on 3/16 of 2021. The property is a 2-story with unfinished attic, brick veneer townhome with finished basement. It has 2 bedrooms, 1 half bath, 2 full baths. The year built is 1993 with an effective age of 2013. The quality is excellent plus. The appellant feels the improvement value is unfair due to similar center units in the neighborhood. All the comparables provided by the appellant were reviewed. 5 of the 6 are older and not during the current analysis period. One of the comparables provided was included in our comparables. The appellant's neighborhood 506888 increased on average 5% due to sales that occurred during the analysis period, which does include their sale. The property's age and effective age and condition appear in line with the neighborhood. The comparables submitted from the appellant are not recent sales and have no permits on file for updates, and the subject property was updated based on inspection and sale. The comparables submitted from our department, the first one was 1507D North Colonial Terrace. This property is a 2-story brick veneer townhouse with 2 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 2 full baths, and finished basement, with a year built of 1993 and effective age of 1998. I mean 1998. I apologize. With the quality being excellent plus, the property did sell for $1,060,000 on 8/25/20, and the current assessment is $1,200,000. This property has a lesser effective age and is not as updated as compared to the subject. The second comparable is 1552 North Colonial Terrace. This property is a 3-story brick veneer townhouse with 2 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 2 full baths, and finished basement, with a year built of 1993, an effective age of 2003 with a quality of excellent plus. This property sold for $1,150,000 on 10/14/19. The current assessment value is $1,145,500. This property has a lesser effective age and greater finished square footage as compared to the subject. The third comparable is 1521 North Colonial Court. This property is a 3-story brick veneer townhouse with 3 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 2 full baths, and finished basement, with a year built of 1992, an effective age of 2012, with a quality of excellent plus. This property sold for $1,226,000 on 7/29/20. The current assessment value is $1,155,400. This property has a greater finished square footage and lesser basement finished square footage as compared to the subject. The fourth comparable is 1503 North Colonial Court. This property is a 3-story brick veneer townhouse with 3 bedrooms, 2 half baths, 3 full baths, and a finished basement, with a year built of 1992, an effective age of 1997, and a quality of excellent plus. This property sold for $1,290,000 on 10/28/19. The current assessment value is $1,278,800. This property is a lesser effective age, greater finished square footage, and greater basement finished square footage as compared to the subject. As a result of the review, the virtual inspection, and information submitted, we determined the assessment to be fair and equitable. The subject property was purchased during the analysis period for $1,050,000 and is currently assessed under that at $1,044,000. The property's effective age and quality are in line with the updates that have been made to the home, and it is recommended that you confirm the 2021 assessment value of $1,044,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, for the county, comparable 1 looks to be almost identical, and it sold for $1,060,000 August of 20, and now it's at $1,200,000, and so it's 44,000 less than the appellant's. How do you distinguish the two? What's different about comp 1 from the subject property?
Pulling up the worksheet right now, but I know that it does have less, the effective age is less than the subject, and it is not as updated, but I'm pulling up the worksheet right now so I can confirm.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I saw that they're both excellent.
They are both excellent plus.
Right.
The effective age is 1998 as opposed to the subject property is 2013 due to the updates that we did see through the inspection and the sale of the property. And it does have it looks like the same finished square footage.
Yeah, it looks almost identical.
I thought the appellant testified that it had an extra half bath, or do I have the wrong property?
What?
The extra half bath was my neighbor, which is A. D, I'm not sure. I think it actually has the same. Mine does not have an extra half bath as compared to D. A has an extra half bath as to mine. D, which is the comparable we're talking about, I think it has the same number of 2 fulls and 1 half. All these units were constructed at the same time, my understanding, in 1993.
Okay, thank you.
I think the main difference really that we're seeing, they are very similar, but the 15-year effective age difference is what is causing the difference in value.
So the effective age, the difference in the 2 units based on the effective age, what practically is inside those units that's such a big deal?
I would have to pull up the other listing. If you hold on 1 second for me. It's the updates, the renovations, but you're asking for what specific renovations?
Yeah, it just seems like maybe the effective age is carrying too much weight. And I'm trying to understand why it's not.
Right. If you give me 1 second.
Thanks.
I apologize. I didn't I'll have to pull it up on MLS. So if you give me 1 second.
It looks to me like the same roof, same walls. I mean, one unit doesn't have a newer roof or anything like that on the outside.
Something in the inside, Greg, but I don't know what.
It's a 10% difference on the building assessment itself.
And is that really real, or is that just a calculation?
That's a little high. I mean, because you have the same excellent plus, average.
Right, but it's excellent plus with 15-year difference. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's the factor there, is the 15 years of effective age. You know, when you plug in the date, 2013 versus 1998.
Yeah, I don't know what the sales or what the pictures might show.
So I did just pull up the 1507D, and on the MRIS listing, there is only 2 pictures, and it is the front and the back of the house. So we can't necessarily bring it up higher if we don't know what the interior looks like, and we were able to see the interior of the subject property.
Mr. Hoffman.
Is the on page 37, there's some bright MLS photos. Is that the subject property? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes.
37, 38,
yes.
39, 40, 41, 42. Okay. I mean, to me, this looks like the same effective age as, I mean, this is like a late 90s build. I don't see anything there that indicates 20, what was the year we were looking at here?
2013. Okay, we can talk about that in discussion. Any other questions?
Hold on. I don't think that may not be the pictures of the subject. I just
want to make sure I'm looking at the subject and not a comp here.
Right.
There's no labels on it or anything.
I don't think it's the subject. I'm just double checking right now. So I don't want that to be a deciding factor going forward. So if you give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Can we ask the appellant if that's their house?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, this is my house. I'm looking, I don't know who submitted these pictures, but yes, this is my house. That is the bathroom. That is the basement, it still has carpet. Actually, I don't know if this is my house. Again, when I now look at the top, it's a loft. My unit now does not have that carpet, so I don't know whose house this is. But I will say that the loft is not. Mine has that carpet has been removed. So I cannot confirm.
I'm pulling up the
sorry,
the MLS listing to compare.
I don't know whose house. Again, they're very similar, these units.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Penaranda, I just have a question for you. Do you have the pictures pulled up by any chance?
No, actually, none of the listings have any pictures. The appellant's listing only has one, which is the front, and the other comparable, like Ms. Church's, only has 2 pictures.
Okay, all right, Mr. Metzger, you had a question?
Here's the deal.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I was just following up on my previous question.
Okay.
To try to
Okay, I have a quick question for the department. You mentioned
go ahead.
Is it my turn, Mary?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm getting a lot of interference. Hold on, let me turn off my video.
Mr. Metzger.
A question for the department. You mentioned that the average for this community, and by definition, built at the same time, townhomes, cheap by jowl, adjusting a little bit for on-road, off-road, was 5%. Some are going to be higher, some are going to be lower, but the appellant's is more than double the average. I was wondering if you could speak to that, what you might know that gets this so far out of line.
So it looks like, I mean, when we verified the information with the sales and the increase to the effective age, taking into account the kitchen, bath, floors, windows, renovations to the unit, that's why there was a significant jump from 2020 to 21, with the subject being a sale during the analysis period and verifying the sale.
In other words, you're saying that there were some improvements done over the last some years that weren't picked up until this sale.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hoffman, you wanted to follow up to your question? I don't know, is Mr. Hoffman on? Your microphone is muted. All right, any other questions from board members? Mr. Penaranda.
Yeah, this is to Ms. Churchill. In other cases that we see and we hear from other appraisers, they tell us that renovated units and unrenovated units, they're pretty much assessed the same way. They don't really make that much of a difference.
All right.
In some of these townhouses, we're seeing that it does make a difference. Where does the line stay to consider or not consider them?
I think that's when you're speaking about condos, they don't take into consideration, so that they look at them differently. I can't speak on the condo side of things, but when we look at townhomes and single family, we do look at whether it's renovated or not, and if updates have been made to the property.
Okay. And you said you reviewed, you looked at the house, right?
Mm-hmm. And so I was going to reiterate, and I did pull up the MLS, like the listing itself, and it does say one of the biggest things in the description, and it says main level, new roof, new windows, new garage door opener. It just reiterated a lot of the updates and renovations that had been done to the property. It says the kitchen and bath were also updated as well.
And are you speaking to the subject property or the
Yes.
comp one?
Yes.
Okay.
the subject. I pulled up the subject again, and so it reiterated in the listing itself all of the updates and renovations that had been done, even though there was a lack of interior photos.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hoffman is back. Did you want to follow up to your question, sir?
It was getting choppy, and I couldn't hear when Jose was looking at the to see, like, responding to if there were pictures. But I found them, and I'm looking at them right now. So that's, I wanted to say I have them up.
Okay, so we can talk about that in discussion.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Are there any final questions for either party? Okay, Ms. Churchill, if you take a minute to wrap up, please.
Sure, thank you. Okay. Again, as a result of the review, the virtual inspection, and the information submitted, we did determine the assessment to be fair and equitable. The subject property was purchased during the analysis period for $1,050,000, and again, it is currently assessed at $1,044,000 under the sale price. The property's effective age and quality are in line with the updates that have been made to the property and home, and it is recommended that you confirm the 2021 assessment value of $1,044,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cockrum, if you take a minute to wrap up, ma'am.
Sure. I would submit again that the most recent comparable and the most comparable unit is 1507D, which sold for $10,000 more. Sounds like there were no pictures for that one, but the market dictates what the value is, and it came out, it was purchased for $10,000 more. So there must have been this similar updates or whatnot. And again, I would reiterate my respectful request that the assessment be lowered to either comparable to the 1507D, which is $1,200,000, or no higher than the average for the 24 Kent units, which was $1,008,000.
Okay, thank you. All right, now it's just among the board members. Mr. Hoffman, did you want to? Mr. Hoffman, yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. I mean, we started to get a discussion, and I think I kind of still feel after looking at the pictures that the difference between comp 1 and the subject is probably not $43,800 in improvements. It looks like they've got new appliances, new countertops, and that's pretty much the only difference I could see. I don't see that being $40,000 worth of improvement.
Okay, Mr. Yates.
Well, in discussion of equalization, looking at the first comp and what we see in the documents doesn't show any real difference other than the final assessed price. Purchase price of the first comp is higher. I think the appellant's argument that her equalization to at least the other unit that's sold higher might be a valid argument.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I looked at it initially, I thought, well, the purchase price of the subject property supports the $1,044,000. However, when looking at comp 1 and equalizing it, we have pictures, we don't have pictures, trying to kind of, compare the two, it doesn't seem, and the difference between 1998 and 2013, it's still not updated to 2020, or 2021. So I don't know. I don't have a problem with matching it to the assessment of comp 1.
I'm looking at the sales price. They're pretty close there.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem matching it to the assessment of 1. Mr. Penaranda.
Yes, just to update you on the pictures. The pictures that we have in the package are the pictures of the comparable. Those pictures came from when the property was listed for rent, not for sale. But they are the exact same pictures when it was listed for rent. I also looked at the subject unit when it was listed for rent, which has more pictures, and it does show that the townhouses, the upgrades are of much higher quality. The bathrooms, the kitchen. Yeah, you can see a totally different property. The subject property, I think it's much more attractive. It's really fully renovated, in my opinion. Totally brand new sinks, the kitchen, I mean, the bathrooms have new tile, very high quality tile. So yeah, the difference is there. I don't see that both units are comparable as far as the quality.
You're looking at it when it was rented.
Right.
Okay, and when both of them were rentals, but I'm looking at the sale price, and I'm just thinking, people didn't walk in and pay $1,060,000 and say, "Oh, this is inferior" at this point. There's something going on here.
Right. No, I agree. As far as the sales price, yeah, I'm with you.
Okay, Mr. Metzgen.
Do remember that these were sold 6-8 months apart. I mean, it's a different iteration. It's a different, nobody looks when shopping for comp one and studies intimately what the appellant's unit sold for, the prior year. It just isn't done. People compare on the market possibilities and not historical. I'm sure there's some exception to that, but it's sure unusual. I take seriously Jose's assessment as well as the department's assessment that this is upgraded. So the question is, though, is it 4-point-something% improvement? Overall upgrade, difference between just over $1 million versus $1,044,000. That I'm not so sure. I'd love to compromise somewhere in the middle. I couldn't hang a number on saying, well, this bathroom's worth that many dollars, and therefore this is how it should come down. But I would certainly support a little bit lesser, but not equal assessment to comp one because of that.
Okay, Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, what also influenced me is the end unit, which is immediately abutting. And end units, my understanding is that they're always better units. They're more, and they command a higher price. And yet she pointed out that the assessment of that is $1,007,000. So I think I think this is a case where the owner has made their case. And I would be inclined to lower it to her requested value of $1 million even.
Okay, other comments? Mr. Metzgen.
Just very quickly, if it's a higher effective age, I don't think the assessment could be less than otherwise a perfect comp. Number one. Number two, on end units, we found many, many times that end units don't matter. Intuitively, that is odd to me. More windows, less people next door partying, but apparently oftentimes, but not always, it doesn't matter. So I again, I would support lowering it, but certainly not to the appellant's requested amount.
That's interesting, Ken, because that kind of goes against what I've always understood.
Well, we've seen it both ways. So, I mean, some people want them, some people don't want them. So
there are situations, if it's like a busy street or something,
right,
they don't be on. Yeah.
I think it makes a difference when the lot that the end unit has is much bigger and, you have more space. But just regularly, I don't think it does make, I just listed a townhouse, which is an end unit. We haven't really considered that it's an end unit because of the comparables. And I think it's just what the market is doing right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. So where is everybody?
I'm thinking reduce. Mary, you suggested the 1,200,000. I don't think you want to be below comp one. There's nothing that.
Right. I know it's only $200, but I wouldn't want to be below it. Yeah. And I'm not sure what will happen next year, but I just think there's so many unknowns here. I could live with that, although when Mr. Penaranda brings up now the pictures and says there is a difference, I'm betwixt and between on it, but I could go with that. Mr. Yates?
I would go with the adjacent unit or the adjacent comp, the number one. Right, and I'm thinking about that end unit too, that it's, you don't know what it's looking at, but the number seems to be gravitating in that area.
Mr. Metzgen, where are you?
I would like to reduce it, but not to that extent.
Okay.
I wish I could come up with a precise number of reduction, but I can't.
Okay, Ms. Hogan?
I'm torn because of, the picture situation, if it's to really truly update it.
The pictures of the comp one were rental pictures. They were not when it's sold for a sale.
Right,
So
as were
what
the
happened
rental
between
pictures.
one rental and the other one for comp one? It may have been updated too when
Right,
it sold
right.
for 160.
Well, those pictures are
the
when they
pictures
were
for the
renting.
subject were well staged. I mean, it was like Christie's fine properties that had all the nice furniture in there. So they really dolled it up on the comp pictures. That can sometimes influence people's opinions of the finish quality and the effective age.
Well, the staging makes the difference as far as what you can put in it, but it doesn't make a difference in what type of walls they has, what type of counters, the
Right.
sink, the
Molding.
vanities and all that stuff. You can't really change by staging it. But I mean, for this year, to be honest, I wouldn't be opposed to reducing it to what the appellant is requesting. It's I think the second only highest assessed townhome in that neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, Comp One makes a big point that it has sold for a higher price and it's assessed at a lower value, but even though the quality was different.
All right, can you live with the assessment of comp one?
I can.
All right, all right, then I'm gonna, hopefully I believe I've done my math right here. I'm gonna move to reduce the assessment to 1,200,000 to match it to comp one.
I'll second.
Okay, I'm sorry, everybody jumped in there. Is that Mr. Hoffman? Had
He
a
got
lot of
first.
seconds there, okay. We have Mr. Hoffman as a second. All in favor to reduce it to 1,200,000? Aye.
You mean $1,200,000?
$200, yes, I'm sorry. Opposed? Okay, so we have 5-2, and that's without Ms. Hogan and Mr. Matzkin, who thought it should go down, but not quite to that level. Okay, so it is reduced to $1,200,000.
Based on the comp.
Thank you very much.
Based on comp one.
And everyone will go next year.
Yeah, only for 1 year. I don't know what they're gonna do next year.
We'll see you next year.
Understood. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the fifth case on the agenda, do we have someone from Sylvan Breeze?
Yes, hello, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, hi, good morning. And I guess you can see me as well. When shall I start?
Okay, hold on one second. Is your camera on? Because I don't see you. I don't see you.
My camera is on. It is on, yes. Let me
All
turn
right,
it
does
off.
anybody else see him? Okay,
He came up and went down.
Yeah, I saw him for a second.
all right. Well, we're gonna move forward. RPC 18016-095, the property is 1304 North Danville Street. We have Mr. Rick Spencer speaking for Sylvan Breeze, the owner of the property. Mr. Spencer, you can start with your 8 minutes and tell us about the property, sir.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the board. This property was acquired by my family. We set up a small LLC just for purposes of investment real estate. I'm one of the managers of the LLC. My name is Richard Spencer, and we acquired the property on September 22nd, 2020 for the recorded price of $1,022,500. And the assessment right now is at 1 million, as you're aware, the 40,000. So I'm appealing the $20,000 overage, and especially because, and I have to admit, I didn't find the BOE memo until just this morning, so I didn't have a chance to study it in the detail that I wanted. But I see that the comparables that were used include 1322 North Danville, which only sold for it sold in January of 2021 for only $1,005,000, and it was on the market for 1.1 million, and they could not sell it for that price. And the sales price that I found on record was $1,005,000, which is $20,000, just under $20,000 less than the price that I paid, and that was only in January of 2021, and that was after I purchased. So the price actually went down from September 2020 to January 2021. That unit also, 1322 North Danville, has an additional bathroom. My unit does not have a bathroom. Mine is only a 2-bedroom, 1/2 bath, and that unit is my unit has 2 full bathrooms and 1/2 bath, and 1322 has 3 full baths and 1/2 bath, according to what I found on for the listing on Realtor.com and similar sites. And then secondarily, when I did manage to find in Dropbox the BOE memo, again, I'm sorry I didn't have a chance to research it. I noticed that it's citing to comparable, which I just don't understand why it's being considered at all, at 2825 11th Street. It's a much bigger unit. It's actually a year younger than my unit, and I don't understand why that comparable is in there at all. I could not find the recorded sales price of $1,206,000 on June 12th. I don't find any record of that. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not an appraiser or any kind of real estate expert. So I'm just at a loss for where that data comes from. But I'm sure that the Board of Equalizations has access to more data than I do. So I mean, very simply, my statement is really mainly that I have an actual sales price that's timely for the value of my unit, a comparable unit with an additional bathroom sold right behind mine, subsequent to mine in January 2021. I feel that's very representative of the market for only for $1,005,000, and so that's why I'm appealing my assessment. I feel that if the board isn't going to at least use my actual sales purchase price of $1,022,500, then it really should consider using something even lower, because I have a direct comparable for a unit that's almost identical to mine except for the additional bathroom. And whereas the assessment that it has currently on the property is, I feel, overvalued by at least $20,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Churchill for the county, please.
Yes, thank you. So this property was virtually inspected on 4/1 of 2021. The property is a 2 3/4 story brick townhome with 3 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, and 2 full bathrooms with a partially finished basement. The year built is 2001 with an effective age of 2001. The quality is IV+. The appellant feels the value is too high due to the recent purchase of the property, and the appellant submitted the following comparables. One comparable being 1322 North Danville. This property is a 2.5 story cement fiber siding townhome with 3 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 3 full baths, and minimally finished basement with a year built of 2001, an effective age of 2001, and quality also being IV+. This property sold for $1,005,000 on 1/21/21. The current assessment value is $1,093,400. The property has a greater finished square footage and 1 additional bathroom. This sale will actually be considered for the 2022 analysis. There are currently 6 late sales, including the subjects, that will be considered for the 2022 analysis, and 4 of these 6 late sales have sold for over their current assessed value. The appellant's neighborhood 506867 increased on average 5.9% due to sales that occurred during the analysis period within the neighborhood. The property's grade and effective age appear in line, and the property was virtually inspected, and the following changes were made to the property. The one comparable submitted by the homeowner was larger in square footage and has an additional bathroom, but the value reflected that. The changes made to the property were exterior finish from brick to brick veneer, and the improvement value then changed from $442,700 to $441,000. So the total value then changed from $1,042,700 to $1,041,100. You can see from the comp sheet we provided the following comparables. 2825 11th Street North. This property is a 2 3/4 story cement fiber siding and shingle wood townhome with 3 bedrooms, 1/2 bath, 3 full baths, and a finished basement. Year built is 2002 with an effective age of 2002. Quality is IV plus. This property did sell for $1,206,000 on June 12th of 2020, and the current assessment value is $1,170,000. The second comparable being 2622 Clarendon Boulevard. This property is a 3-story brick veneer townhouse with 2 bedrooms, 1 half bath, 2 full baths, and minimally finished basement. Year built is 1998. The effective age is 2013. The quality is excellent plus. This property sold for $1,099,000 on 5/20/20, and the current assessment value is $1,073,800. The third comparable is 2418 14th Street North. This property is a 2.5-story brick veneer vinyl siding townhome with 3 bedrooms, 1 half bath, 2 full baths, and a finished basement. Year built is 1996 with an effective age of 2006. Quality is IV minus. This property sold for $1,040,000 on 7/1/20, and the current assessment value is $1,035,800. As a result of the review, the virtual inspection and information submitted, changes were made to the exterior, causing a decrease in value. The property is a late sale and will be considered for the 2022 analysis. So it is recommended that the board confirm the reduced 2021 assessment value of $1,041,100. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? None? Okay, Mr. Lawson?
Yeah, this is for the county. Why isn't what they bought it for on September 10 of 2020 decisive?
What do you mean decisive? It's not being considered for this year's. It's a late sale, so it'll be considered for the 2022 analysis. I don't know what you mean by decisive.
I mean, why don't you just go with the $1,022,500?
Well, we don't value based on the sale price. We look at, what adjustments may need to be made to the property. We don't want to chase sales and what the sale price is. So we just make the adjustments based on what we see when we pick up the sale and the information.
Okay, other questions? No? All right. Oh, Mr. Hoffman.
I mean, it looks like it was in January of 21, so it's outside the period, but I guess an identical unit right across the alley sold for $1,005,000. Did you look at that comp at all, or is that going to be reviewed next year?
If it's from January, we would look. It would be part of next year's analysis, and we would take it into consideration.
Okay.
Okay. Any other? Okay, Ms. Churchill, if you take a minute and tell us any final comments, please.
Sure, thank you. Again, as a result of the review, the virtual inspection, and the information submitted, changes were made to the exterior, causing a decrease in value. And this property is a late sale and will be considered in the 2022 analysis. So it is recommended that the board confirm the reduced 2021 assessment value of $1,041,100. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spencer, if you take a minute to wrap up, sir.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I don't understand the reference to a change in the exterior. What does that refer to? I don't understand what that's. Is that on my unit or on the comparable at 1322?
Okay, sir, you're in a wrap-up session here. You don't get to ask questions. You've got a minute to tell us any final comments.
Okay, well, again, I don't understand if it's outside the period, it's just outside the period. It's my understanding that the period would have ended on August 30th, 2020. My sale was 22 days later. You have an actual sales price for my actual unit. The intent of assessments is to actually reflect the market value of the property so that you can assess the taxes based on the market value. The sale is not even 9 months old. I just can't understand how the county can say that it doesn't change sales prices when sales prices are reflective. That's the whole point of equalization, that you are tracking the value of a specific property for purposes of taxes.
Okay, thank you. All right, it's just among the board members. What's everybody think? Mr. Penrose.
I guess I'll start with this. I I don't think we have enough information, or, I don't think the appellant has provided enough information or compelling information to make any changes, except one comparable, the one at 1322 Danville. That property sold for $1.5 million, but it was bought as is condition property. It was resold for $1.1 million in June of the same year. And it is, in my opinion, it's a larger unit. It has 1,672 square feet. But based on just on that comparable, I don't see that how we can make any changes to the assessment. I think the county has provided enough information to support their opinion of value for this year.
All right, other comments? Mr. Hoffman.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because we've got late sales and some ones that are going to be reviewed next year. Then it looks like some of these properties might be a little bit overassessed. The one I brought up earlier was sold at for $1,005,000, and it's assessed at $1,093,000. So there's probably some adjustments due in the next year. But I don't really, I didn't see anything that other than the actual sale, which I would lean on, but I've been frequently outvoted by this board by leaning too hard on the subject property sale. I would support $1,022,500 based on the sale being 10 days after the assessment period. But I don't know if I have the support for that.
Right. The only thing I would say about that, and Mr. Lawson brought up the question before about why we wouldn't just take the sales price. We never take one single point. We don't know. Was it a good deal? Did he overpay? Did he underpay? The whole idea of assessing and appraising, when this property, I assume, was financed, was, appraised, you use 3 comps. And the reason for that is not to be high, be low. I don't think we know enough about it. When the assessor or the appellant said, I don't get why the county doesn't use it. There's a cutoff point so that they can assess. Again, I need to find out how many properties there are, in the county that they assess them. And then they do consider them in late sales, afterwards. And the one that's in 2021, that's really late. That would certainly affect next year. So it may in fact go down next year. But, I don't think that you can just look at it and say 9 days after it, this is what they agreed to, and it should match that. It's just not standard appraisal or assessment.
The other issue I have with doing that myself is that's going to throw it out of equalization with the whole complex. And everybody's higher kind of throughout that complex or in that range. So I think then it would be unfairly low, to be honest.
So other? No?
I agree with that.
All right, well then with no further discussion, then I will move to accept the county's revised assessment of $1,041,100.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a second with Mr. Penaranda. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's 6-1 with no Mr. Lawson. Okay, the county's reduced assessment of $1,041,100 has been confirmed. Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Is Mr. Wilson on?
I am.
Okay. Is your camera on, sir?
It should be coming on.
There you go. Okay, thank you. All right, the final case is RPC 03012-032. Property is located at 3542 North Dickerson Street, and Mr. Brian Wilson is the owner and will speak to us about his property. You can start with your 8 minutes, sir.
Yes, very, very quickly. I won't take 8 minutes. The assessment of $194,600 does not reflect market value, which is what it says in the notice that I was sent from the county. The home was just purchased September 25th, 2020 for $1.875 after sitting on the market for almost a month in the hottest real estate market we've had in quite some time. I have an appraisal from the bank indicating that the appraised value on August the 14th was 1.875, and that is what I submit.
All right, thank you. And we have Ms. Vitus on. If you would speak for the county, please.
Will do. Good morning. My name is Tressa Vitus, and I will be representing the county in the following case. 3542 North Dickerson Street is a two-story frame house with 5 bedrooms and 5.5 baths. It was built in 2007 with an effective age of 2007 and a quality of excellent plus. For the purposes of this appeal, the property was virtually inspected using the 2020 listing. The appellant believes the county's assessment of $1,940,600 does not reflect the subject property's market value. The home was purchased in September of 2020 for $1,875,000 after having sat on the market for a month. They feel the 2021 assessment would be an incredible increase to a valuation in less than 90 days and is not even possible in the best markets. No further information or comparables were submitted by the appellant. At the time of the September sale, the county's assessed value was $1,846,100, and the appellant purchased for $1,875,000, making the assessment ratio 98%. When verifying the sale virtually, only an elevator was added to the record. No other changes were made. After completing the 2021 analysis, the 502007 neighborhood saw an average increase of 7.3%. The subject property was below the neighborhood average and only saw an increase of 5.2%. Upon reviewing this property for the appeal, it was found that a small reduction in square footage was necessary. This reduction in square footage reduced the improvement value by $5,100. The quality and effective age appeared to be in line with the neighborhood and no further adjustments were made. Based on the information submitted, the review of the property record and sales information in the neighborhood, it was determined that this new 2021 assessment is fair and equitable. The county recommends that the board reduce the value to $1,935,500. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Questions from board members? Mr. Lawson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Quick question for the county. We have a category exterior features, and the subject property has 6. Comp 1, 3, Comp 2, 4, Comp assessment comparable 1 has 3. What are the exterior features that make this so more valuable?
So this house does actually have a lot of outdoor living space, being that it has multiple screened-in porches on the back and outdoor patio space. If you are able to look at the listing, there are photos of these, but that is what the exterior features are. It's just a lot of outdoor patios and screened-in porches.
Okay, thank
you. Okay, other questions? No? Okay, Ms. Vitus, do you have anything else that, oh, wait, I'm sorry, Mr. Penaranda. Your microphone is muted, sir.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question to the owner. I noticed that the sales price was adjusted. What was the contract price that you put on when you made an offer on the house?
We made an offer at 185.
185. Okay. Okay, that's all. Yeah, it's just saw an adjustment of price, but that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Metzgen.
Quick question for the department. The size was adjusted downward. How many square feet is it now?
So the square footage didn't change as much. It was more of a description. We had part of the house as 2-story frame over basement, and I made the adjustment to lower it to 1 story, 1 3/4 story. So it changed slightly. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but it did again reduce the value by about $5,000.
Okay, thank you. I know it's an unusual house. It's not a standard box. Yeah.
Yeah, I swear these builders are out to get us now with all these bump outs and crazy windows and such.
Okay, any final questions? Okay, Ms. Vitus, if you take a minute to tell us any final comments, please.
I did forget to mention that this house, being a September sale, was considered a late sale on the 2021 analysis, but will be considered as a valid sale in the 2022 analysis. And again, I just recommend that the county please reduce the value to $1,935,500. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wilson, if you take a minute to give us any final comments, sir.
First of all, thank you all for your time. Ms. Vitus, Roll Tide. I just have a professional appraisal sitting in front of me for 1.875. Somebody who does this, multiple houses, multiple areas. We purchased it for 1.875. If the value last year was higher, according to the county, then the value of this property has gone down. So I simply respectfully request that we adjust the assessed value to what it was purchased for and what it was appraised for on August the 14th of 2020. Thank you.
Okay, thanks to both of you. All right, it's just among the board members. What's everybody think? Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my thoughts. Ms. Vitus made an interesting point about what builders are doing. And the county recently, not recently, but a few years back, changed the way we calculate coverage. And so bump outs and things like that, bay windows that go almost from the ceiling to the floor, they're doing that because of that change in the zoning ordinance. I'm kind of like Mr. Hoffman said earlier. I think the county should consider a sale between September 1 and the end of a year, because we're aiming for the value as of January 1, and you can't just ignore a quarter of the year, in my opinion. So I think there should have been some more weight put on that. So, you know, I think that we should lower the value, but I don't think I'll prevail in that belief.
Okay, other comments? Mr. Matzkin.
I agree with the appellant that, you know, 2 days into the next year is certainly something that should be considered. It's not an egregious late sale like the last case where it was 4 months later. I do not agree, though, last summer was the hottest market ever. This spring certainly is, but I don't. I also don't agree with the appellant that a fee appraiser, which has a little bit different, a great deal different standards than government appraisals, should stand. I don't give it a lot of weight. The purpose is different. Certainly the range and the comparables are much different. However, I always look at the comparables, and I'm not so sure that the improvement here stacks up with the 2 sales comparables and 1 assessment comparables. It seems a little high to me. I can't figure, in part because the effective age is low, in part because it's a little bit unusual configuration. But I'm at a loss to point to something and say, well, it should be $20,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 less. And most importantly, I don't see, other than agreeing with the appellant that, you know, 2 days into the next assessment period should be discounted. I don't see any other compelling case that the appellant made to overturn the department. And it is, of course, up to the appellant to countermand the department otherwise, because the department otherwise is considered correct. So I got to go with the department.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Yates.
Ken, the only thing I would throw in there is that we're dealing with the sale date. The contract in setting that price was more in line with the period that we should be looking at. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Penaranda.
Yes, I agree with Mr. Matzkin. I think, you know, the burden of proof, like in the previous case, is with the appellant. And the only thing that we have here is, you know, he's offering the professional appraisal that he considers it's different than what the county does. And I think, you know, I think the county appraisers are just at the same level. They have the same credentials. They have a different role to play. It's a different type of assessment a different type of appraisal, but it's still a valid one. And I don't see, based on just that information, that, in my opinion, I have enough compelling information to make any changes. I think the county has to be proven to be incorrect, and I don't think it has been in this case.
Okay, I would agree with you. Any other comments? All right, would somebody like to make a motion?
I'll move that we confirm the revised assessment at $1,935,500.
All right, do we have a second with Mr. Matskin? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so it's 5-2, and that's without Mr. Lawson and Mr. Yates.
I think it was 4-3.
Oh, Mr. Hoffman.
Opposed.
I'm sorry?
I was
It was 4-3.
Oh.
Yes, I got that. I'm sorry. Let me restate that. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. I don't need you to correct everything I do. Okay, the vote is 4-3 without Mr. Lawson, Mr. Yates, and Mr. Hoffman. The county's revised assessment of $1,935,500 is confirmed. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Okay, that completes the agenda. Is there any other business from the county or any board members?
Nothing from the county, Mary.
Okay, I would just say to the board members, two things. One, you need to stay in your seat during the hearings. When you get up and walk away and you're not in your seat and the appellant is speaking and then you come down and then ask questions and vote, it's going to create an issue. When we were meeting in person, nobody got up from the table and walked around. If you've got to take a break, text me, let me know, raise your hand, say I need to take a break. We can take a break, but you need to be in the seat listening to both sides to be able to ask questions and vote. On tomorrow's agenda, just in case anybody hasn't started reading, unfortunately, I've already read the case, but case number 4, which is RPC 1403050 from Ms. Borman on Fairfax Drive. She's asking to withdraw, and I understand there's no objection from the county, so that we won't be hearing that case. So if you haven't read the cases, I'm trying to save you some time in reading the cases tonight. You don't have to spend a lot of time on number 4 on the agenda. So otherwise, if nobody else has anything.
Mary, we had one.
You're going to talk. Yep.
We had one issue with the residential case that was pointed out. I think the appellant left a comment. It was the case for 18016-095.
180.
Case number 94.
Oh, yes. Okay.
If you look at the first page of the memo, in the initial box, we put 2021 revised. That's the correct value that we've revised it to, that we recommended reducing it to, which was $1,041,100. And then there's a typo below that under the department's recommendation where we only listed $1,041,000. There's a $100 difference there. The $1,041,000 under the proposed total was a typo. The correct value that we've recommended the reduction to was $1,041,100.
Yeah, that's what I noted.
That's what we used.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no, we got the 100, so it's $1,041,100.
Yeah, there was just a typo on our part under the proposed total that was pointed out, I think, by the appellant in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, it was assessed with the extra $100 on there. So.
Okay.
Okay. So anybody else? Anything? No.
No.
Okay, then we will stand adjourned 10:49 and see you back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.